Sarah, welcome to the Stephen Skinner podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
It's awesome. This is our maiden voyage, I would like to say. So we are in the beautiful Palace Theater here. This is our little library area here. So if you hear little cleaners, I think right now there is, believe it or not, there is toast. If you thought there was a little baking going on, it's actually toast to be thrown, not eaten, to be thrown at Rocky Horror.
Oh, that totally makes sense.
If you, if you go to Rocky Horror, have you ever been to it yet? It's interactive and they will chuck toast. So the beautiful smell we have right now is people making hundreds upon hundreds of toast that will be chucked and then cleaned in the theater. So
very Rocky Horror.
Yes. So again, we have this amazing podcast that we decided that we wanted to do called the Stephen Skinner Podcast, because not just about what we're doing as a company, but all these amazing businesses. It's about life, Eastwood, fun. So you are our first of hopefully many that we're going to talk all about cheese and the life of Sarah today.
Yeah.
So tell us, now start off. I saw on your sign when I went by the beautiful building there on James and Collingwood, it said just married or we just got married. So tell me again,
married. The Kurdners just got married. We, my partner Matt and I are the only two actual current employees at the Kurdner, and we also just married each other. We were closed for about a week so that we could go off, get married, and then go visit some cheese friends before we came back to work.
That is awesome. So again, hopefully, are people like super supportive being a small business? Again, you have to sometimes close down. Are people all more congratulatory, and hopefully everyone comes back when you're done?
Yeah, thank God Eastwood has been pretty welcoming to the idea that we were getting married. We tried to, as soon as we opened, be like, hey, we're getting married this year. There will be days we are closed. And everyone was like, married? That's so fun.
That's awesome.
So it could have been a lot worse. Everyone's been super great about it. We did have a couple people come in this week and be like, I did not plan accordingly, and I did not buy enough cheese last week, which just worked out for us because they bought extra cheese this week.
That is great. So again, let's talk a little bit about I'm thinking to myself, I was looking back at photos, and it is just over 1 year ago, I think we, when did we first start discussing this idea of having a small business in the Eastwood community? Was it like June and July,
no,
maybe?
The first time we sat down with you and Matt and I came to your office, we were like, hey, we have no money and we also really love cheese. And you were like, wow, that sounds awesome. Was last March.
Oh my gosh,
March
time flies.
2021 was when we sat down. Last June, July was when you took us out across the street from the shop and you pointed at what was then a sort of rundown looking corner store, and you were like, would you want that location? And we were like, yeah.
Could you believe?
The corner cheese shop, my dream.
Oh my goodness.
And then a year ago, right around this time, was when we finally got the keys.
Amazing. A lot transpires. I mean, not just a wedding, but this business and everything. Now, again, you told me when we first met a little bit about your backstory. I really would love for people to know a little bit about your backstory when it comes to cheese. Were you thinking originally something in the medical field and then somehow it shifted to cheese? So can you explain a little bit about how that all transpired?
So I was at Binghamton University pursuing a pre-med track. I was getting a degree in cell and molecular biology, which I do have. I have a BS in cell and molecular biology. But I was going pre-med, and there was this group of students that were like, hey, we're going to start a cheese club. And I was like, I want to help do everything I can to make this club happen. That sounds so fun. And originally, I was just doing it as a way to not do medical stuff all the time, because I was trying to study for an MCAT, and I was taking all these really hard classes, and I was like, this will just be something fun to do. And it sort of spiraled from there. I became the president of the cheese club. I ran weekly meetings where I talked about cheese, and that was the first time I was like, wait, you can do cheese professionally. Like, you don't have to be a doctor. And that was just an amazing moment to have, because I was like, do I even want to be a doctor? I don't know that that's my calling in life, and I loved cheese, and I'm quite good at it, as I've learned. And so I called home. I was like, I'm actually not going to be a doctor. And that conversation went exactly how you think it went. My dad thought it was a joke. My mom was like, oh, this is a phase. This is a phase. Yeah. She'll grow out of it. I got a job working in Brooklyn as a cheesemonger.
That's what I wondered, yes.
And I apprenticed under some really awesome cheesemongers who are now some of my closest friends. And I was really good at it. And after my first day, I did a trail, which was like an unpaid, you follow around another cheesemonger to see if you even like it. I left and I was like, if I don't get this job, I have to apply to every other cheese shop in the 5 boroughs because I will do cheese professionally.
Oh,
Thankfully, they called me within an hour of leaving and they were like, can you start tomorrow? Which was awesome. And I worked there for quite a while and I just was like, this is all I want to do with my life.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, so is family from Brooklyn area?
I'm from Queens, yeah.
Queens. Okay.
I am generationally from Queens. I am the first of my family line to leave Queens, actually.
That is awesome. So there is, I think cheese was more known maybe out there because of the density of population versus what you're bringing to Syracuse is probably something that's not too much. And I think one of the other things that you said, I'm going to basically either expose Syracuse to cheese.
That's sort of my whole goal.
Yes.
Is that there's like this awesome world of cheese, not just like in the city, but around here even. We've got some really awesome creameries and cheesemakers through the Finger Lakes, through upstate New York that people just don't know about. And so the joy of my job is getting to tell people about that every day.
Is it one of the things that you do? Because again, yes, you're a small business, you have to do some sales, but part of it doesn't it have to be partly about like educating and letting people know like what is maybe the history of this cheese, or how do you find yourself educating and helping people so that they can have a greater understanding of cheese making?
Every day. That is more important to me than making a sale, honestly. Yeah. I would rather someone buy like $1 worth of cheese but learn a lot about it than buy a ton of cheese and know nothing about anything they bought. So if you come into the shop, you get a tasting. While you're tasting a cheese, I'll tell you all about it. I'll give you a little rundown where it's made, who made it. Sometimes I even know the name of the maker, and I talk to them on a regular basis. Awesome. So I get to be like, hey, Gary made this cheese over at this creamery, and he's really awesome for this reason. And people are like, whoa, that's such a cool thing to know. And it makes you just appreciate your food a little bit more, which I think is really why I do what I do, for an appreciation of the food.
It's amazing. You and Matt are literally, again, you dream about meeting certain individuals, and my goal, again, as you know, for the past 20 years, and it's been this little journey to take this little village of Eastwood here, where once this was the most walkable village in the city of Syracuse. Shops, people, again, if it's sweeping their front steps or saying hello to another neighboring business, it was all about that. And it was like, could we have that ever come back again? And I know I've shared about it before that so many people did not believe that could ever really occur in, again, the 21st century now, with small business being the way it is and how tough it is and how difficult it is, and then being in an urban city where it is you have your daily grind and you have the issues that we face, obviously, again, with trying to keep community but also managing, knowing that you have to protect yourself, you have crime elements, and this has been, you're looking for people to basically, you're partnering with them. You know, I could be a landlord, but in the same sense, my hope and goal is for people to thrive, to make it. And only once in a great while, and again, I'm blessed and fortunate, there is a number of people who've said, yeah, I want a guinea pig. We're going to take a corner smoke shop, in essence, that was quite heavy on crime, and but you caught it. You looked at it and you're like, I can see it. And we're going to bring, I think when people think of, and again, tell me, what is like, I know we call it the curd nerd and it's a cheese shop, but is it you go by charcuterie type store, or do you have another name, how you call it, or just call it the cheese shop?
So we go by a cheese shop. We also could be determined as a specialty grocer. So we do, when we were opening on, especially where our location is, I actually only live about 4 blocks from the shop. Which is
amazing.
Awesome.
Which is awesome. Walkable.
Yeah. And so when we were opening, I was like, what else do we need right here in Eastwood that we don't really have a ton of access to? And that's why I started carrying local produce, local eggs, awesome. Milk, all that kind of stuff. So that, like, if you live in Eastwood and you have a last minute, I wanted to make this thing and I don't have X, Y, and Z, instead of having to get in your car and drive to a supermarket, you could just walk down to the Curd Nerd and be like, hey, I'm making pancakes and I forgot milk. Do you have any? Of course we do.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so that's sort of, we mostly go by cheese shop. That's most of what we sell. We have about 70 to 80 kinds of cheese at any given time. So that's really the bulk of our stuff, but we are also a specialty grocer.
That's awesome. So again, we're getting close to the 1-year anniversary. Again, there was a key turning, and then there was the opening.
Yeah.
So was the opening more? Was it end of winter, spring? What
End
was
of
it?
winter. It was March. Was our official like we
March.
unlocked the
Like
door.
Soft opening, but you got
Yeah.
people in there, and people got to check it all out.
We like very quietly took the paper
Yes.
down and unlocked the door,
Yes.
and we were like, if anyone shows up, kind of thing. That was March 25th.
How has it been when it comes to, because again, when you think of, let's just call it a cheese shop, when you think of a cheese shop, and again, you think of Eastwood, people would just say, no. There's some of these Finger Lake communities, there's some of the more affluent communities. We are in the city, we are in a blue collar village here. How has it been, the response been both with locals and then also, do people come from distances too?
People come from all over the country. Actually, I've had customers in from Alaska, California, Florida, Georgia. I've had people drive just like they were heading to Canada and they purposely came through Syracuse to come to the shop, which was so awesome. But locals love it. Actually, a bulk of our customers are Eastwood residents that are in walking distance. Even if they don't come in all the time to buy something, they come in to chat with us, which we
That's awesome.
love. That's one of my favorite parts of the job. But at first we did have quite a bit of like, why did you open here? And we do still get people like that. They'll come in and they'll be like, so this is great and all, but like,
You should be somewhere
why
else.
here? Why not like Skinny Atlas? And I'm like, because I don't live in Skinny Atlas.
Yes.
I'm not a resident there. I
Yeah.
don't connect to those people. That's not my neighborhood. I really wanted to be a shop for the people I live with. I wanted a shop that my neighbors could come into, that the people down the block that we walk our dogs together could stop by. And that was really a big, huge push for us to open in Eastwood.
Do you get an amazing sense of satisfaction? I know I personally do, knowing that you're in a community where, I mean, let's face it, you are truly making a difference. I mean, we can take it lightly, and I'm not here to diss beautiful suburb communities. There's some
No.
wonderful communities that are walkable and great, and they got beautiful shops. But if you were there or you weren't there, you probably wouldn't be noticed or recognized if you opened or closed your doors. Here, you are felt. I mean, people talk about it. I mean, it's. I mean, along with some great coffee and a couple other amazing little restaurants and shops, we are known as becoming like the cheese capital of Syracuse area. So, I mean, is there a sense of purpose but fulfillment, knowing this is, again, you add something?
Oh yeah,
something dynamic.
The like long-term goal for my life was always to open a cheese shop. It was never supposed to happen so soon. It was something I pictured doing like after I retired. I would open a cheese shop after like years of being a cheesemonger, and because I really didn't think that I would be able to make that kind of difference yet. And so every day that someone walks in and they learn something new about cheese, or this is going to sound a little creepy, but watching someone taste their new favorite cheese for the first time is literally why I get out of bed most days, because the way someone's face lights up when they taste like a new food that they have not had is pure joy.
It's
like
pure, it's
unadulterated joy out of adults that don't get to have reactions like that. You know, we don't get that like Christmas morning excitement anymore, but to watch someone like try a new cheese and be like, is the best thing in the world. And that is the difference I get to make every day, and that is so fulfilling. And even if I was making negative money, that feeling would be enough to keep getting out of bed and keep showing up to work.
That's awesome. I know my daughter always talks about, she's like, Dad, she's so creative. Not only is she, because you're a unifying business, so you bring in other people, again, these other dairy farmers, other coffee roasters, you're bringing in things that would help be like a specialty grocery. But on top of that, she loves, my daughter loves your creativity. She's like, Dad, you got to go to the little cheese orphan section here. So what is the cheese orphan? It's when you're down to like the end of a block or something like that, and then you just package it up and
Pretty
say,
much.
you know, buy me.
A cheese orphan is also like if I cut a piece of cheese because somebody's like, I want a pound. And I'm like, that's a lot of cheese. And people are like, no, I want a pound. And then I cut a pound and then they're like, oh, that's a lot of cheese. And I'm like, I knew that and I said it, but you did not quite fully comprehend what I meant when I said it. And then they see it and they're like, can I take a little bit less than that? So that little piece that gets cut off,
goes to the cheese orphan.
He becomes a cheese orphan, or she, or however.
Yes.
However
that
hunk
little
of
cheese identifies.
Exactly.
It becomes
and
a cheese orphan.
They become a cheese orphan, and they are one of the best selling things we have.
Because it gives somebody a chance to try something, and it's like, hey, And we're all about adopting pets. We're all about, again,
adopt
restoring homes.
cheese.
Adopt a cheese piece.
They need a good home. That's what I tell people when people are looking at the orphan bin. They're like, "Oh, I'm gonna snag some orphans." I'm like, "Please do. They need a good home." You know, they are just. It's a really great way to try cheese, especially it makes it a little more approachable. So like one of the things we do at the shop is we have cheese priced per pound. Most people never look at cheese as a per pound item, and so the first time you see like a per pound price and you see that number and people are like, "That's a lot of money," and I'm like, "Yeah, but you do not want a pound."
No.
And people are like, "I can't even afford a half pound," and I'm like, "You definitely can. It seems like a lot, but you wouldn't even probably want a half pound. Still a lot of cheese."
No, exactly.
And so the orphans are a good way because they pretty much fall in that like $1 to $5 range for people to like grab a couple and then be like, "Oh, I love this cheese so much. I don't feel bad spending $10 on a bigger piece that I could bring home."
That's awesome here. Some little, I'm thinking my little lightning round questions here. Tell me, what are maybe the 2 coolest things that have happened in this past, 6-8 months that you've opened here? What are some of the 2 coolest things that you love about the cheese shop?
Coolest things, the people that came from Alaska were really awesome. That was like very, very cool. They have family that lives in Geneva, I think, and they were flying in to visit them, and they told their family that lives out in the Finger Lakes, like, "Hey, we have to go to this cheese shop." And I was like, "How do you know about me, my little tiny cheese shop in Syracuse, New York?" And then the other really cool thing was I had a family that came in immediately after giving birth. So before going home from the hospital, a husband, wife, and their newborn baby came to the shop, and they were like, I was like, "Oh, is everything okay?" I saw hospital bracelets on everyone. I was like, "Is everyone fine?"
My goodness.
And she was like, "Yes, I'm fine. I've been craving cheese my entire pregnancy, and so we're here to get some cheese." And I was like, "Oh, like how old's the baby?" And she was like, "I had him on Monday night, and it was Wednesday morning." They were like,
My goodness.
we got kicked out of the hospital like 10 minutes ago. We drove straight
And
here.
we're getting cheese.
And I was like so overwhelmed with how cool that was. Because I was like, "Wow, you came here with your newborn baby?"
That is because they love you.
Yeah, they were just really excited to come check out the shop. They came back in this weekend and I was like so excited. They were like, "How do you remember us?" I'm like, "I will literally never forget you guys." It was one of the coolest. They left. I called my mom. I was like, "This is the best thing. The coolest thing just happened to me."
You got people from thousands of miles away and people right waking up to life, and here we go here. Tell me, as a small business owner, I don't think anyone is exempt from having challenges or obstacles. What are right now? Give me 2 obstacles that your small business either faces right now that, again, people would either love to know and say, because again, we want to be as authentic as possible, and on top of that, people need to know you're a real person, you're a real shop, and I don't care who you are, including myself. We have obstacles, struggles, or challenges that we're facing. Give me a couple things that you have to deal with on a daily basis or right now ongoing.
So one of our struggles is getting people to find our shop and find out about us. We no longer live in the world where people watch TV or listen to the radio, so it's not like I could just like get a TV ad and get people to come in. We really focus on social media, which is great, except all the people that aren't on social media. And then it's a struggle of being like, well, should we spend thousands of dollars, because that's really what it costs to get your name out there if you want to do some of those things. Is it even worth it? Will we see a return on doing any of those things?
It's good.
And so that is super hard. We try our best to say yes to as many things as possible that get our name out there all the time, but I don't think people realize it's only 2 people.
Yeah, and people are probably saying every day still that I've never heard of you, right?
Yeah,
all the
every
time.
day.
So, which is good. You're getting, but
it's awesome, but I'm
But
really
it's
the
a
only
challenge.
full-time employee at the Curd Nerd, and by full-time I mean like
you're
every
there.
day,
You're
16
there.
hours a day,
You're there.
which is all the time. And my partner is awesome. He also has a full-time actual job that pays our bills so we can live.
Yep.
And he's also a grad student, so he has like a ton going on.
You guys are working.
And and so we're like, and on top of that, like we have 2 pets and we have a house and things that need to get done
Absolutely.
and families and all that sort of good stuff. But don't think people fully comprehend that small businesses are small businesses.
Small businesses.
I actually think almost all of the businesses in Eastwood qualify as micro businesses.
Literally.
Because we don't even have enough employees to be
what is it,
considered.
10, 15 employees or beyond a certain number, it makes you a small business or 20?
Yeah,
no,
I think
most
it's
of them
like
are micro.
under 8 employees
well
is a
then,
micro business.
Most people are micro.
The only employees at the Curd Nerd are me and Matt. I mean, that's another struggle, is like trying to find employees that
How to
like
find help. How
want.
to find people.
Yeah, it's really hard,
It is.
especially for us. I mean, no one has experience in what we do here because there
Correct.
isn't
It's a specialty.
somewhere like us. And so we really have to start with someone from like a baseline and train them all the way up on everything that we do, which is super labor intensive. And when you already are doing such labor intensive work as 2 people, to add the intensity of labor to train someone to take some of that workload off seems really daunting.
Yeah. So I mean, again, between marketing and employment, I hear you on that. And I guess if we added a third thing, is maybe sleep will maybe eventually come into the mix, because you can only burn the candle at both ends so much. We're getting toward the holiday season right now. One of the things that I've noticed that you and Matt do such a beautiful job, I mean, the Curd Nerd does this beautiful job, is these display tables. It's almost like a buffet of cheese and things like that. What is it? The crudité, or what is it?
Yeah, we do
charcuterie
all sorts
tables?
of charcuterie boards and grazing tables and things like that.
I mean, is this something that if I had to say to you, hey, would this be useful? Because it's a chance for people to taste an array of what you do. Are you guys still open for booking more parties?
We book parties all the
weddings,
time.
anything like that.
Oh yeah, we do all sorts of stuff like that. I just recently did a couple like at home cheese board classes for things like bachelorettes and things like that. So like after work, we do all sorts of pairing classes now all over the place. We just did one last week with Buried Acorn. We did a barrel-aged beer and cheese class. So we book things like that all the time. I've got a couple coming up at local wine shops and places like that where we're gonna go bring cheese and do all sorts of things like that. But we book private events at the shop. You could book to close the shop, and we'll set out tastings and educate your friends and family on whatever you want education on. We just started our class program also. So once a month, I teach a super specialized small class. So we've done cheddar and Gouda. That was last weekend, which are just like super fun, get people out there and
awesome.
learning. So we do all of that kind of stuff all the time. Not to mention we do charcuterie boards and trays any day. You can order a cheese and charcuterie board for pickup any day that we're open. We also wholesale with a lot of small breweries and things like that, so that they can have cheese boards to go, ready to go at their locations. It's constant. We are constantly doing some sort of something.
I hope corporate companies get a hold of this podcast, or companies, even if it's schools or people work in medical facilities. There's something about the joy of cheese and the joy of, even when you see this board, this charcuterie board out there, it is like, sample, try, it's fun, it's family, it's variety. So I think, again, in the end, it brings purpose. It would also bring revenue and business for you too. So I hope people, again, when they hear this, they make their call to you, get it in for holiday season, holiday parties. I mean, this is because you can get so backed up.
Get it in soon.
Because
we do. Like I said, there's 2 of us, and Matt he's so great at so many things. He's not really our cheese board maker.
Yeah.
It's really all me. So I'm up 5 o'clock in the morning in the shop making cheese boards some days. And so for the holidays, as soon as I put out like, hey, we're booking Thanksgiving, hey, we're booking Christmas, my advice is to hit book now, because if you do not, we do close at a certain point. There's physically only so many cheese boards I can make in a day. For Mother's Day weekend, we did 40 cheese boards in 2 days, which is really like probably around my max capacity of ability to build cheese board. Not to even mention, we're a fairly small shop. To have that kind of backstock inventory to fill those boards is insane.
Well, that's awesome. So again, I hope people will get their order in right away. Address to find the Curd Nerd, is it 2800?
2800 James Street.
Street here. So again, James, South Collingwood, you can park right along there. It is the corner, everyone dreams of the corner cheese shop or the corner coffee shop. It's that type of place there. It's a great little section of this little renaissance of going on in Eastwood. And again, Sarah, I cannot thank you from the bottom of my heart enough for believing in our area. I know you live here. I live here. We are neighbors. This community loves you, and obviously, we will do anything in our power to just see your business thrive and succeed. We're doing, Eastwood's coming along a long ways. There's new lighting happening, there's murals going up, there's stuff for kids happening.
I was just talking to someone today who's like,
it's awesome.
Our dream location to move is Eastwood. And I was like, I would move now.
Yeah, this is the chance. People are catching on to this. So you are all part of this renaissance, and people are just joining in on this journey here. So thank you for what you and Matt do, and I'm so excited about tying this knot here. And again, you guys are such a beautiful couple. You guys are meant to be together.
Thank you.
It's truly the live, work, and play. You embody all of those three things. And so again, thank you so much for the Career Nerd being part of this.
Thank you so much. We literally could not have done it without you. I mean, if we're honest, it was the most pipe dream conversation we'd ever had when Matt was like, hey, so I talked to our dog groomer, and I was like, I'm immediately confused. He was like, and she said, Steven Skinner is the person to talk to if you're thinking about opening a business. And I was like, you're insane if you think we could open a business. And really, that conversation with you where you were like, I will make sure that this happens for you, was one of the best days for us ever.
It is truly awesome. And again, you were willing to step in. Sometimes when you get that call and say, hey, we're willing to do this, I'll tell you, you had to get the jitters out and say, we're going for this.
We're doing it.
And we're turning Eastwood into the cheese capital of Syracuse. So again, thank you so much. Please say hi to Matt too.
I absolutely will.
And again, we're just going to look forward to seeing all these other great things on the podcast.